Hello everybody and welcome to part 17 of the Fiesta build. In today's episode, as you can see, I'm actually lining out the engine bay with the gold foil, mainly to try and reflect some of the heat off the areas where the wiring's running behind and whatnot, mainly around the bulkhead. As you can see, it's one of those jobs that was been put off for some time. We've obviously painted the engine bay, so I thought it's one of those jobs that's got to be done. So as you can see, I was making templates of the areas that I was going to then cut out of the gold foil, and then from there I can get an idea as to how and what shape it needs to be. So as you can see, I'm actually just using a ruler to straighten some of the edges off, so that when it comes to placing the template over the gold foil, I can just cut it with the scissors and then stick that on to the area that's going to be covered. So yeah, it is quite a time-consuming piece, or time-consuming job, as you call it, but it was quite satisfying to do actually. There was a few bits that we needed to cut around, make some holes for, so that it could, some different mounts and like mounting points, etc. They can be seen, but definitely it was worth doing. So I'll let you just watch through as it's being done and speed it up from here so that you can see what happens next. now you can see we're actually just using a hole punch so that I can make the template for the back of the bulkhead. There's the rivets for bits on the inside of the car. So they're quite deep rivets. So as you can see, I'm actually just marking them out with a Sharpie on the top. All this does is when I put the template over it, it gives the mark of where the rivets are, so I could then stick it over. Now I had cut the gold foil out at this stage because I'd marked some of them and they'd come out, but some hadn't. So as you can see, I was just redoing it there back onto the backing of the foil, and then cutting it out on the bench with the hole punch. Now because I weren't too great at this, so I got Dad to do the rest of them, but it was one of those, I think the hole punch was a bit blunt and I weren't hitting hard enough, but it's one of those things that I've never done before. It also didn't help, it was doing it on aluminium, which is really soft, but we also didn't want to blunt the hole punch either. So that's what we're doing at this stage. And then I can actually place the gold foil over and it will sit flush without there being loads of kind of lumps behind the gold foil that would stop it from sticking down, if you know what I mean. So pretty much finished on the gold foil around the engine bay. We didn't do all of it, as I say. Just wanted to do around where the turbo sits, because the turbo sits quite high up. This is what it looks like. Let me know what you think. Then something exciting, obviously. My cousin Alfie does racing as well, drag racing, and we got his car started up again after a full engine rebuild, so it's quite exciting. But then we moved back onto the Fiesta, and here we are actually making shields for the connection points where the hoses are run through the car, the radiator hoses, radiator piping. As in the rules, it states that you have to, or any rubber hose piping through the car needs to be shielded. So that's what we've done. But we wanted it to look quite nice as well. We didn't want it to take away from the kind of race car look inside. Obviously got the pipes powder coated red to give that contrast, and also I think it could be in the regulations that we have to run that colour, so we didn't want to take any chances. That's why I got them in red. But as you can see, we're actually just drilling the holes for the riv points. We did find out eventually that a couple of the holes are where meet engine or the chassis mounts or chassis rails, so that meant we couldn't actually riv through them there, so we're going to put screws in the ones that we can't put the riv nuts in, but not an issue, just doing something slightly different. As you can see, this is what I'm talking about in terms of the piping, the red piping, the hoses that need to be covered. But yeah, I'll just let you watch this and then we're going to move on to the other bits. Right, so this is just one of the pieces by the rad that we wanted to do as well. Dad did also do a big one at the front of the car, but we didn't film that as it was a much bigger process and it might get a bit boring to watch. But that's it for today's video. If you enjoyed it, then make sure to drop a like.